The novelty of colour is now standard, even on television. Concepts often seem strained. Hammer and Brian Clements tried a swashbuckling vampire slayer, but lack of audience response killed Captain Kronos as a potential series.
You see? He's been bitten on the mouth. God's sake, I survived a vampire's bite. He is not the man you are.
I'm doomed. My soul, a never-ending torment.
Kill me! Kill me!
I didn't want to do it, and we discussed it beforehand, because I didn't feel it was really necessary. But they wanted it to appear nude. So we kind of came to a compromise, insofar as my hair was a lot longer in those days, and so that covered my upper chest. and I think I actually used some sort of gaffer tape or something to stick it down, so I felt quite secure in that sense. And then a pair of flesh colour knickers, briefs, and I was all right. I was all set, so it was like being on the beach, really.
Her life will be yours. Yours. Her youth will pulse through your veins, my darling, replenishing, restoring. Take her.
At your service, sir. To the death. Yes, you bleed, my lord. This is God's blade. Forged for your black heart.
Possibly it was too romantic. Maybe it was either ahead of its time or you know, the other way. Maybe it kind of lost in time. I'm not too sure. The timing was wrong anyway, I think.
The Lady Vanishes received scant distribution. A Loch Ness movie drowned in a sea of delay. Hammer's last theatrical venture was made in 1975.
Of the occult that any has dared before.
98% of so-called Satanists are nothing but pathetic freaks who get their kicks out of dancing naked in freezing churchyards.
I have a feeling I'm dealing with that other 2%.
Richard Widmark challenges Christopher Lee for the soul of a girl named Catherine in the terrifying film of Dennis Wheatley's sensational bestseller, To the Devil, a Daughter.
Te adoro et te invoco.
They got Catherine. We've got to get her back before it's too late.
By then, a so-called low budget meant £500,000 over $1 million. Emma brought in German co-financing and an American star, Richard Widmark. And appropriately, Christopher Lee was the heavy.
When this ceremony has been performed, I shall destroy you, John Burney.
The demons hate you, Raynor. They're waiting for you.
Catherine. You are warned. The full shock, the full satanic horror is yet to be revealed.
It's me! Don't!
The new permissiveness extended to a nude photograph of teenage Nastasia Kinski in the press book. Michael Carreras left in 1979. Since then, Roy Skeggs helmed the company through the doldrums of the British film industry by producing 2 TV suspense series. Now, in partnership with filmmakers Richard and Lauren Schuler Donner, Hammer has contracted to make suspense and science fiction films through Warner Brothers.
I get asked time and time again in letters and interviews and things, when is Hammer going to return, or will Hammer return?
It's a shame. I think someone should really pick up the torch and run with it.
Entertainment technology has changed radically since the 1950s. Yet Hammer thrives, inspiring a nostalgic cult that reaches round the world.
They've often said, we grew up with you. You were like part of the family. We'd go on a Saturday and see these horror films and scream and yell. So we've always considered you part of us, which is wonderful.
Fan periodicals like Little Shop of Horrors, published by Richard Clemenson, savor the films like fine old wines.
Top professionals tip their hats to Bray.
Gremlins patterned its climax on the end of Hammer's original Dracula. Director Joe Dante cast Christopher Lee himself in Gremlins 2.
He said, but you have to remember, Christopher, that I and all my peers and all my colleagues, and there's a great many of them, Martin Scorsese, Brian De Palma, John Landis, Steven Spielberg, Joe Dante, and many, many others that don't come to mind at the moment. He said, we were brought up on your films when we were teenagers and young men. We were brought up on your films. We liked them, we loved them. And I'm naturally very grateful for that. It means they don't forget.
I'm not giving you bullshit. They were made by people who cared.
While we were doing them, we were dedicated to them.
As a matter of fact, as it worked out, it couldn't be better.
Those films will last forever.
Mocked and vilified in their time, these films are now revered. The world has finally come round to know what we've really known all along. Anything made by Hammer is the best.
I never thought it was going to be anything. And here it is. I know they're showing them at the Museum of Contemporary Art and the Lincoln Center, all those horror films.
Hammer was one of the happiest studios I've ever worked in my life. And it was a family.
These motion pictures created an insular fantasy world with fiery images of love and innocence, of dark sexuality and hideous death.
We who created that world have a touch of immortality through them, and you who share that world over the years can revisit it as you would recall a favorite fairy tale, secure that in the end, good will always triumph over evil.
That is, until the next sequel.
Since the death of Jonathan Harker, Count Dracula, the propagator of this unspeakable evil, has disappeared. He must be found and destroyed.
Letters, my lord, from Hamlet.
From Hamlet?
This to your majesty. This to the queen.
My wife is dead.
I'm sorry. But when you said we, I assumed...
I always think of us as still being together.
If you are human, that is humanity.